That sumbitch is tough as woodpecker lips.
The Southern Saturday Podcast.
Oh, well, come on, son. You couldn't whoop a pitcher of meat.
It's like giving your ears a big glass of sweet tea.
Come on, boy. Shit.
Drink up and enjoy.
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Southern Saturday Podcast. I got a very special guest today, a fellow local comedian, Carson Taylor.
Hello, everybody.
What's up, dude?
Dude, doing well, man. Thank you for having me. How you
Dude,
doing?
I don't mind. I love it. I love having comedians on here because then it's just silly.
Yeah. I'll do my best.
Nobody's their expectations couldn't be lower.
Yeah. No, I appreciate it. How you been, man?
I've been good,
minute.
man. I haven't seen you in a while.
I know, it has been a while. This
I've-
is all incredible, the sign and the room and everything.
Dude, thank you. I appreciate it.
Congratulations on all the success and being able to leave your job. That's awesome.
That is a blessing.
Yeah.
I know that people are probably jealous a little bit, but I've just got lucky, really. I mean,
Yeah.
I do work hard, but it is just luck. It's like getting struck by lightning, too, at the same time.
Yeah, well, when hard work and luck meet at the same corner.
That's perfect.
It's like, and a lot of people that do get upset are usually, I've noticed, people that aren't trying. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So,
And that's not just with the whole social media or quitting your job thing. That's almost anything. Like anytime you see a jealous person, they're usually not working hard to do nothing.
yeah. I used to be like that in basketball. There was these two kids that were always better than me. And then I had to stop and be like, do you ever do anything but try to throw it from half court? I'm like, I don't practice dribbling or anything. This makes sense.
At least you had the self-awareness.
Yeah, you got to
That's
have
a good quality to have for a comedian.
Yes, it is.
Because, dude, there's some comedians that don't have any self-awareness.
I have seen it. It's pretty bad.
Get down from an awful set and be like, oh, killed it again.
Sometimes I'll be bad at it though. Like I'll say something and then the crowd will laugh not where I thought they were laughing, and I'm like, have to be like, oh, they're laughing at me because I don't seem like the type of person who would do that. You know what I mean?
That's such a
Like,
good point that I've never thought of, because it's happened to me before. Like where you've already said the punchline, then you say something else and they laugh and you're like, wait.
yeah. It's like sometimes I'm just being honest. I'm like, so I've been working out, and they start laughing. I have to be like, oh, that's right. I don't look like I do anything. So
That would be the same as if I said I started working out.
yeah.
Dude, I tell people, because I used to be in shape, but COVID ruined it. I tell people I used to look like a before and after picture, but like if you switched them.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
That's funny.
So what's up, man? You told me you've been hitting the road.
Yeah, I did. I just went to Washington, D.C. and Philadelphia.
And drove.
Yeah, I drove the whole way.
For anybody that don't know, we live in the little nutsack Alabama down here. He drove all the way to Philadelphia.
Yeah, I did it one time before with a group with Zeke and a buddy Johnny. We went to see the band Fish in Reading, Pennsylvania. For one show, we drove all the way up there.
Yeah, but that's one of those bands.
Yeah. I've seen them 17 times. So, yeah, I'm big on the jam band stuff. But that was the only other time I've driven that far. So it was definitely.
But dude, there's something, especially if you've got somebody with you, like your buddies or something. There's something about the drive that's fun.
Yeah,
we drove to Myrtle Beach. I don't know, a couple weeks ago, because we had a golf content trip. And I went with one of my buddies, and we just drove it instead of flying it.
Yeah.
And I couldn't imagine that flying it would have been as fun.
Yeah, I mean, it gets you there quicker, but you do, like, especially if you take the highway. It's like, I'll make it long sometimes on myself and take the highway instead of the interstate, because you see so much Americana, just like awesome.
That's
like,
true.
All the views, like driving through North Carolina and seeing the mountains and everything. I was like, man, this is awesome.
How old are you?
I'm 30.
Okay, so you might be old enough to remember this. Do you remember Quincy's?
Quincy's?
Yeah, it was a buffet steakhouse in the South. They
No,
started the
I
yeast
remember
rolls.
the show. Quincy.
They were the first people to have like the yeast rolls, like the Texas Roadhouse type yeast rolls. Dude, they were huge when we were a kid. Well, we went and stopped at the very last one in South Carolina.
Really?
On the way there. Like the very last one.
That's awesome. When you just went, it was still there?
Like it was the only one.
Yeah.
And when we walked in, it still had like this electric green carpet. Like it looked like they snapshotted it from the 90s and said, "Don't change this."
But that's why I loved that one Taco Bell that was on Dolphin and Sage or whatever. Because you used to walk in and it was the same exact, like, you could look at all the paintings or whatever, and they were all dated like 1992. So it's like, this Taco Bell's been exactly the same since like 92, and I loved that.
They should have kept it.
I know that. I think it's better when you keep like Hollywood theaters.
Oh yeah,
that carpet was always the same. It was basically like these socks.
Exactly.
Like,
exactly. And now they only do that for like putt golf courses, like indoor putt golf courses and stuff.
Yeah, it's weird.
But dude, companies should bring that back. Like they should bring back the littlest things get us excited now. Like if I was to see like a 90s Dorito bag with like the half white top, I'd be like, oh my God.
Yeah, or
like,
the Dixie Cup logo.
Oh yeah.
It's the greatest.
I've got a bathing suit with the Dixie Cup logo on it.
It's the best color combination ever. It makes me feel like
you're watching the Utah Jazz.
That's exactly what I was gonna say. When you see the merch for the Utah Jazz or whatever from the 90s, I'm like, it doesn't get better than that.
It's the same exact thing. I actually had a full. I didn't end up wearing it because it didn't end up fitting, but I had a full zip up like ski suit that was the Dixie Cup logo.
Nice.
But it didn't fit. I ended up having to wear something else. But it was gonna be so awesome.
That's awesome.
It'll fit one day, maybe.
Maybe.
If I get to losing some weight.
No, I mean, I don't know, dude.
It's hard, dude, whenever, especially like if you're doing, which I mean, you ain't got to worry about it. You weigh 100 pounds.
I have the opposite, dude. I have the fastest metabolism on the planet. Yep. I want to gain weight. Like, I'm trying to gain 15 pounds, and I will stuff my face all day, and nothing changes. And I'm like, maybe I have a tapeworm, and I don't know it, but I've had it for 29
Your whole life.
years. Yeah, exactly. I was born with it.
Dude, my brother's the same way. Like, I remember whenever we were in high school, we'd go to, like, Burger King, and he'd get, like, a triple Whopper and just down it like it was nothing, never gain a pound.
Yeah.
I can lick a cracker and gain 20 pounds. Like, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, no, dude, it was the worst in football because I played only 4th and 8th grade. And, when you play two-hand touch or flag football as a kid and you're good, because I was fast and I had moves and stuff. But so in my mind, it's like, oh, I'm going to the NFL.
Mm-hmm, I'm great at this.
There's no and if or buts about it.
I found my calling.
Dude, we put on pads. And I was like, oh, I am playing soccer. Like, this is so... I'm not, dude, I was the backup cornerback. So I saw the field like 2 times as a cornerback. Mm-hmm. And then I was the kicker.
Well, that's great.
I mean,
perfect for you.
It was awesome. I got to get on the field and kick the ball. But it was like, I also stood on the sideline. I was like, man, I wish I could do that. That's cool. The way you stiff-armed that guy.
Yeah.
I mean, nice.
And meanwhile, you feel like you've been in a car wreck when you get out there.
Oh, dude. Every time at practice, every time I got hit, I'd be like, I don't think this is for me. I would have that thought every practice. Yeah. That's how you know. Yeah. Like when someone's like, I try to be like really supportive and tell comedians like, you just got to keep, writing, But when someone 6 times in a row has told me like, yeah, I don't think this is for me. I'm like, I feel like I'm making your life worse by convincing you to still do this.
That's true. It's true. It depends. Like, that only works for something that you have a little bit of natural ability at. Like, I remember thinking the same thing in basketball, being like, dude, I'm so good at this. I just need to keep at it. And then eventually I was finally like, Justin, you are 5'8". You're white. You're 5'8". I know you're good at it, but you're not that good at it.
Yeah. you're not Steph Curry good.
Exactly. And like, I would look like a midget on TV with those people. I would look like worse than Bugsy Bogues.
Yeah, no, I hit a growth spurt like freshman year of high school. The first like 3 months of high school, I was like 5'5". I was so short. And then all of a sudden I like shot up to like 5'9", 5'10". And like, thank God, but I could have used that all middle school in basketball because there was already kids that were like 6'2". Yeah. There's this one kid. He was like 5'7". His name was Jeremy Jones. He ended up playing for South Alabama.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, so I went to school with him. He was like 2 years older than me. And I saw him jump like 19 feet, 2 inches in the long jump in 8th grade. Like when he jumped, we all like at PE would just stop and watch him, and we're like, "This guy's gonna be a superstar." Like he was dunking in 7th grade.
Yep.
He was like 5'4". It was incredible.
It's crazy because whenever you're playing sports with like other people who are around about, or maybe like a little better than you, and then you go see like somebody who's going to go pro, like actually go pro, you're like,
Yeah.
oh, this is a different kind of person.
It's really
It looks like he's playing against kindergartners.
Yeah, exactly.
We shouldn't even be here.
Yeah.
It should be just his showcase. Let him go.
Then you have 4 white guys on the team that are just playing the role of John Stockton.
That's all
just
they're doing. Pass it, set him a pick.
That's it.
That's all you're doing.
Good that was my thing. I was like, I want to. Good defense kept me on the court. I was needed there. But I'd throw up 6 points on the board and be like, I am going to the NBA. There's no way that I'm not.
In the meantime, everybody that's going to the NBA has got 45 points in high school.
Exactly. And the whole team had 76. You're like, wow, that guy.
Yeah.
I went to St. Mary's Catholic School. I don't know. Where'd you go to elementary school?
Shiloh Christian.
Oh, I don't even know where that's at.
It's been gone. It was in. I was actually the last class.
Really?
Like my 8th grade class, they were like nothing to look forward to. Shut it down.
Did you know that? Last year?
They told us in the middle of the year. Like they got a phone call. I remember our teacher being like, "I just got a call. They're shutting the school down."
Oh my God! It was y'all's 9/11. That's crazy.
Which I was at that school for 9/11 too, and then we have our very own 9/11 2 years later. But they did. They just come in there and they were like, "Guys, we just got a call. They're shutting the school down." And then one of the teachers was like, "Realize, guys, this also means that I'm out of a job." And we're like sitting there in 8th grade, like, "What do you want us to do?"
Y'all are about to throw papers in the air and celebrate. We're like, no more school.
Exactly. And then looking back at it, I'm like, this wasn't a thing where you like needed to tell our parents. Like, why are you telling us?
It is weird back then when they would just handle things without anybody. Like I'd get home and tell my parents about what?
They showed us 9/11 before our parents even got there. They wheeled a TV in there. It's like, you see that guy? There he went. He jumped out of the window. This is a terrorist attack. You're all probably gonna die.
I think probably for because I was in 2nd grade when 9/11 happened, so I don't think they wheeled. I think probably for the 7th and 8th graders.
They did. We were in 6th grade and they wheeled a TV.
Yeah, they probably did for the older kids. But I remember we watched the Pope when the smoke went white and they announced a new Pope. Because I went to Catholic school. So
yeah, of course you did.
That was bigger news than 9/11 in my school.
It's so crazy. Like, they wheeled a TV and showed us a mass murder and suicide and was just like, your parents are on the way, by the way. See you tomorrow.
Yeah, hopefully.
I don't know if we went back tomorrow or not. I don't remember how long we were out of school, but I just remember the whole ride home being so scared.
I remember getting home and my mom just doing nothing but watching TV.
Yeah, you weren't allowed to change it on anything else.
Yeah.
I believe even if you put it on Cartoon Network, it was still showing 9/11. Like, it was on everything.
Yeah. I have a buddy that missed 9/11.
Oh, didn't get on the plane type thing?
No, he worked at what used to be Boo Radley's downtown.
Yeah.
So it's 2001. He was a bouncer, and I think he got off work at 4 a.m., went home, went to sleep. He woke up at 5 p.m. to go work at a restaurant, and he walked in, and the whole staff's just watching the TV, and he's like, what's happening? And they're all turned and looked like, are you serious?
Yeah, this has been all day.
Yeah, it happened at 8 in the morning. It's 5 p.m. He's just he's driving down the street wow, there's no cars on the road. This is weird.
Dude, did you see that video of those kids? They're at NYU or something and they're up in their dorms and they're just bullshitting and talking. And all of a sudden, one of the kids, I saw it on a podcast, one of the kids is like, oh my God. And they just turned to their window and 9/11's right there.
That's crazy.
I imagine being 18 years old and being in that dorm room
yeah, I can't imagine.
You probably think it's the end of the world. I would imagine.
Yeah, that's got to be insane,
especially that close to you.
Yeah, Josephine was in the Bronx, I think, when that happened. So she was
wow.
she was going to school up there, in the 3rd grade or whatever.
That is insane. I didn't know she was from up there.
Yeah. So,
wow.
Her dad was a cop, so I think he was a
part of
it.
Yeah. God, dude, brutal.
9/11 talk.
Yeah.
Always
If you get two comedians together, somewhere 9/11's getting brought up.
somehow I feel like talking to me in general, it's like we're going to 9/11 or JFK eventually. We'll get there.
JFK. Dude, I saw a dude do an RFK impression yesterday that was perfect. I don't know how he did it.
I wish I could do impressions, man. I'm so jealous of people. Like my buddy Curtis is the greatest impressionist I've ever met in my life. Like he can just do voices, and if you close your eyes, they're spot on. And he can just make up all these Irish characters and stuff. And I'm like, anytime I do a voice, it doesn't matter if I'm doing Russian or Irish or whatever. 3 sentences later, it's just Chinese, and I don't know why. I'm terrible at it.
Well, Chinese is a fun one to do, to be honest.
It is, and you know what I've noticed? Accents are coming back in comedy.
They are.
I get where people are coming from, but also it's like the power of my voice can make this crazy noise, you know what I mean? That's not my own, and like I think that's like awesome. I think everybody should be using that skill. I love when black dudes impersonate white guys.
I do
It's
too.
hilarious.
I've always liked it, and like I think we should be able to do it across the board. Like I love whenever I see somebody doing like an Asian accent online. I'm like, yeah, so like we can start doing those again. That's good because now I can only do them at home for my wife.
Like Andrew Santino.
Oh, this is perfect.
And he can do like different versions of all Asians. Like he has the
Exactly.
accent down.
Dude,
like, that's a level
nailed.
of skill.
Yes,
I'll never
nailed.
understand that.
Which I'm pretty good at them too. Like I don't know. It's one of those things. I think you can either do impressions or you can't. And then like
Yeah.
the people that can do them can get better at them or just stay where they're at. But like I think it's maybe like your ear. I don't know what it is. You hear it differently. I've just
Yeah.
always been able to do them.
I can do impressions of people that I've known for a long time. Like if I've known you and been around you for a long time, I
makes
can do
sense.
an impression of you and like your mannerisms and stuff. But like when I was a kid, I thought like I was good at impressions, and I would do like Stitch from Lilo and Stitch,
Yeah.
and then I would do like the spine lady from SpongeBob from the chocolate episode. Chocolate, that lady.
Oh yeah.
But then I realized everyone can do those. Those are like the two that everyone has in their bag. And I
Like
was just
Sling
like,
Blade.
yeah, dude. It's like in the world of impressions, I'm like 30 over par. Like, this is awful.
If you ask somebody like, or you tell them you can do impressions, and they're like, "Yeah, I can do a few," and you're like, "Who can you do?" And they're like, "Sling Blade." You're like, "Yeah, we can all do Sling Blade, man. Everybody can do Sling Blade."
Can you do Dwight Yoakam? That's
Exactly.
the real
There you
question. I think that's the best. Maybe the best performance of the 90s, in my opinion, is Dwight Yoakam as that evil stepdad in that movie.
It's really good.
He's so believable. Like, I'll watch that. Like, I'll be pacing around mad at him when I watch that movie. Like, I'm actually mad at this dude who this character doesn't exist, but I hate this
No,
man.
and
Like,
dude, you're sitting there. It's so good that you're like, "That's not a camera. I'm in the house with him. I'm sitting there
Yes.
watching him be mean to this retarded guy."
yes. It's he pulls it off so well. And then also, it's like, I feel bad because it's like, what about the guy who literally played a retarded guy? You don't, and it was like, oh, he was good.
He was all right. He was okay.
But yeah,
Dude, I
Dwight
remember
Yoakam crushes.
I had seen Sling Blade way before like I had seen like Armageddon or anything like that. And I remember somebody being like, that's Billy Bob Thornton. And I was like, shut the fuck up. Like, I didn't even believe that it was him. Like, they're like, no, that's Billy Bob Thornton that played Sling Blade. I was like, no, it's not. And then I went and like looked at him and I was like, that's fucking Billy Bob Thornton.
You thought the one credit was going to be stands outside the sit-go.
Yeah. Like, I could not believe that was Billy Bob Thornton. I guess because I'd seen it as a kid. And then somebody told me like older that it was Billy Bob Thornton, and I like was like, no, the fuck it wasn't. And I remember that movie. It wasn't Billy Bob Thornton. They're like,
Yeah.
no, I swear it was.
No, that happens to me too. Do you know who Colonel Bruce Hampton is? So he's the guy that tells the poem in the movie. The one was like, and then it goes all ...
Yeah.
So he's a musician. He died like 5-10 years ago, but he was a musician from Georgia, I believe. He's incredible. He had this band in the early 70s that Dwayne Allman helped get them like signed.
Yeah.
And then apparently it was Columbia Records' worst selling album besides a yoga instructional CD or whatever. And but he helped like discover Widespread Panic and like get them like going. and I got to meet him at Callahan's. He played at Callahan's one night, and he had this gift for memory. He could tell you from meeting you and just looking at you when you were born and know it to the date.
Wait a minute. Hold on. What? You didn't have to tell him first?
Dude, you can YouTube look this up. Colonel Bruce Hampton. He literally, my dad, like, was a huge fan, and he met him, and he said the first time he met him, shook his hand, he goes, September 15th. It's like, that's my birthday. And he's like, I know. Like, dude, he could do that with like anybody I've ever met. Because in Mobile, there's a huge jam band community of people that like knew him. You know what I mean? And they've all told me, they're like, dude, the day I met him, he guessed my birthday correctly.
That is the craziest thing I've ever heard.
Dude, he was a magical wizard. But I met him, and he was like drunk and sitting in the kitchen in the dark. It was just him and just this chair in the middle of the room in Callahan's and sitting in the dark. And I was 16, me and my buddy Philip. And my dad was like, you want to meet him? And I was like, yeah. So he like took us back there, and he just like looks at us, and he just points at my buddy Philip and goes, you're a Gibson man. And he points at me, he's like, you're a Fender man. And Philip played a Gibson Melody Maker, and I played a Fender Stratocaster. And I was like, that was weird. I don't know how he knew what guitars we played. And then he just told us to listen to this. You ever listen to Sun Ra? Crazy jazz music. The guy did like over 200 albums, but he was like, listen to Sun Ra. The man will melt your brain. That's what he said. And then I went home, got high as hell, and listened to Sun Ra, and he was right. It was like, this
melted
guy.
Your brain.
Oh man, he changed my life. I only met him one time. He died on stage at his 70th birthday. It was like live streamed on the internet. Yeah, he had like Warren Haynes and all of his favorite musicians with him on the stage. And on the last song on the encore, he collapsed on stage with his guitar, and everyone thought he was joking. They're all like laughing and everything, and then they realized he died. It's crazy story.
What the hell, dude?
That's the poem guy from Sling Blade.
That just happened to be the time where the devil's like, I'm collecting.
Yeah.
It's over. You had a good run. I usually don't let people make it to 70. You're over.
It's like right when he dies, you just hear the audio, and then it goes dot, dot, dot.
Wow. There's some things in this life that you just can't explain, and nobody can explain it.
Yeah, that's true.
Like some of the things that David Blaine does.
If
I was there, I'd be just like one of those black people. I would just start running around.
To say, I watch it on my phone, sitting on the toilet, and I react like one of those dudes in the hood. I'm like, no shit! I like throw my phone in the tub. I'm like, I can't handle this.
Well, dude, there's some of them where I just tell my wife, I'm like, he sold his soul to the devil. Like they taught him black magic. I don't know what, like.
I feel that. Especially when he does like the swallowing things and coughing stuff back up.
Dude, I watched him go to Harrison Ford's house, and like he does this card trick to him or whatever, and they're standing in Harrison Ford's kitchen doing this card trick. He had this little like series where he went to celebrities' houses and did things.
Okay, yeah, I saw some of those.
And then in the middle of the trick, he's like, oh, that's not your card. He does that. Oh, this wasn't your card. And David Blaine's all real intense. Like, oh, hold on, let me find it. And he's like, get that pear or apple. And Harrison Ford's like, okay. He's like, cut that apple open. And the card's in the apple that he signed earlier. And Harrison Ford just looks at him and says, get the fuck out of my house. Like, dude, that's exactly what I'd tell him.
Did you bring that apple with you?
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Was there no apple there and you set it there when no one was paying attention?
No, the camera doesn't cut. Like the apple, well, I mean, he could have, when he walked in with the production team, set it in there or something. But it's just like, what? How'd you know Harrison Ford had apples? Because it's sitting like amongst other apples.
Yeah. That's weird, man. There is stuff that he's done where I'm like, I don't think this is like, same thing. I'm like, the devil's involved in this.
Yeah, like, I mean, I guess they could play camera tricks, but I feel like if I was there, it would still happen the same way. And I'd be like, this guy.
Yeah, there's a comedian in Pensacola that's also a magician. So he like tells jokes while he does all these tricks, and they're like incredible. And still is like, I'll bring that up to him. And he's like, oh, it's just sleight of hand. I'm like, that's exactly what the devil would say.
That's not true. There's no way. There's this one guy that he saw on the street that he made take out his wallet out of his back pocket, and his card was in his wallet. That's not sleight of hand.
Yeah.
That's bullshit.
That's crazy.
That guy's either in on it or that guy's Satan. It's just one of the two. You pick.
Yeah.
There was one where he threw a bunch of cards at a window. Do you remember this one?
Yes,
and it was in the inside.
Yes, and then there was like another one where something ended up in a jar.
Yeah,
like inside of like a store or something crazy.
It was in his water, shoved down in the ice.
Yeah,
well, fuck you, David.
That doesn't make any sense.
Did you ever see that bit that those comedians did about David Blaine?
No,
it's like a skit that they did about David Blaine, where every time he does something, he's just like they're freaking out in the background. And he's just staring at the camera. And then at the end of it, they go to find this kid's VHS from like when he's a kid. Yeah. And David Blaine's like, put it in the VCR. So he puts it in the VCR and it starts playing. And look, on the TV in the VCR of his baby picture, David Blaine's looking at the TV. It's so funny.
That's awesome.
I don't know the guy's name, but he's one of the comedians that's on Wild and Out. I don't remember who he is.
I wonder how many tricks he's done that like hasn't worked out. That could be like medically like.
Oh yeah,
like if he's ever like swallowed a quarter and then coughed up like 3 nickels and a dime. But like he's like, no, but well, seriously, what happened to that quarter? Like,
no, we don't know, David.
He did that one where he froze himself or whatnot in the.
They said his heart got down to like 1 beat a minute or something.
I think he said he started hallucinating.
I'm sure.
Like,
like, see that's not magic. That's just him being stupid.
Yeah.
He swallowed like 3 frogs on Rogan, like while he was doing the podcast.
Okay, I remember that. Yeah.
Or a goldfish or something. I don't remember what it was.
He did that in front of Dave Chappelle too, right? It was like Dave Chappelle
that's right.
and Steph Curry and a bunch of people. Like, ugh.
See, that's just you being weird. I don't want to see that. I want to see real magic.
Yeah, because then at that point, it's like Steve-O's a magician.
I wonder how many takes where they threw those cards against the window and like nothing was stuck, and David's like, God damn it. Let's find another guy.
And it's like 1998, so H was like, dude, we're still using film. Like, you gotta
come on,
gotta
man.
Speed this up.
We brought 4 rolls today.
You said you were the devil. I guess before him was like David Copperfield, but I never
got into that.
Yeah, it's generation before me.
Yeah, like Houdini, but it seems like Houdini was just doing shit that nobody wanted to do.
Yeah.
Like, I'm gonna lock myself in this cage and get out, and everybody's like, okay.
Now, Houdini might be the actual devil.
Yeah.
Because, like, given the fact that, like, you don't have the technology, like, he really, because there's not the technology we have now, he was just pulling that stuff off. Yeah. There's no camera angles that you can manipulate and stuff. It's just a crowd of people watching you get in a box and get dropped into the ocean or whatever. Like,
yeah, he didn't pull off that last one, though. That was another one where the devil's like, long enough.
Yeah. The punch to the stomach. And also, you know, when you're laying there dying, you're like, there's no way a punch to the stomach is what's killing me right now.
Yeah. And you know, he's got to be sitting there thinking to himself, like, they're all going to think that it was all bullshit now.
Yeah. Like, I'm not the man anymore.
Yeah. Like, yeah, I thought that guy was legit, but he died.
It's like a
mid-act.
Charles Barkley in Space Jam. When he plays the pickup game with the kids, he's like, you ain't Charles Barkley.
You just somebody look like him.
Exactly.
Calls him a wannabe.
You ain't Houdini.
You seen the new Space Jam?
No.
Me neither. I refuse to watch it.
I am like, I did not realize how quickly like an old man mindset was going to kick in with me. But it's like any remake or sequel, I'm just instantly like, no.
Yeah, I agree.
Do not take my original baby from me.
My favorite movie is White Men Can't Jump.
Oh, so good.
So
they remade it with what's his name?
I didn't watch it, and I won't. Like, just because I know it sucks. I know it does. Why are you going to ruin my movie?
And also, you know, it's like, they took out all the fun.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Because like
that's my point.
The White Men Can't Jump, the original, is like edgy and racy hilarious
the whole time. Like, I've said to this day, I've watched a billion movies. Nobody can argue the way that Woody and Wesley can.
So good.
Like, they make you believe that they hate each other.
Yeah.
Like, or that they're best friends who argue all the time.
Yeah.
Because they did Money Train, too, if you remember Money Train.
No, I never saw that.
And so that was like one of J-Lo's first movies after, like, Selena.
Okay.
So it's her and Woody and Wesley. And, dude, they actually play, like, adopted brothers in that movie.
Nice.
And dude, that same thing. Like they're arguing is legit. Like it's a really good movie. You should watch it.
Money Train. I never even heard of that.
Yeah, it's a great movie.
You ever seen Brewster's Millions?
Never heard of it.
Richard Pryor movie from the 80s?
No, but I watched damn it, Harlem Nights. I love Harlem
Oh,
Nights.
yeah. Harlem Nights classic. Red Fox and Eddie Murphy. Those guys are amazing.
What's Brewster's Millions?
Brewster's Millions is he's like a minor league baseball player. He's a pitcher, and John Candy is a catcher. And they're both like at the end of their career.
I don't know if I've seen the whole movie, but I've seen bits and pieces.
Yeah, he like basically finds out his great grandfather was white or whatever, and he died, and like he was like the owner of like all like a $300 million or something, and so they, in order for him to get it, he has to spend like $10 million a day, but like not on himself, on other people. In order, like, there's all these loopholes. It's one of those movies where, you know, if you're just watching it like an Adam Sandler movie, it's incredibly funny, and you're like, God, the movie just made me feel good. Like, I want to watch that again. But if you're really paying attention to it, you're like, I'm pretty sure we're past the number. The math doesn't add up at any point in the film.
Those are one of those films where you're like, don't analyze this.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what I love about Adam Sandler movies. Like, Adam Sandler, it's almost like people nowadays, like, I guess because there's a younger generations now and Adam Sandler's getting older where they're just like, oh, he sucks, blah, blah. I was like, no, Adam Sandler was the man.
He was the top dog from 1995 to 2005.
Yeah, like he did all those movies on his own. Him and another guy just wrote them all. They're all great.
Yeah, they're all great.
The thing about it is, tell me a movie you've seen in the past, like, other than maybe Superbad, I would say.
There's still 2007.
Yeah, it's just like, tell me a movie you've seen where you're like, people are going to watch that for 30 years.
Yeah.
No.
Not in the past 10 years.
No, like maybe, no, for sure. Not in the past 10. I agree.
I'd say like, but even the movies that I would say are like horrors or dramas. Like
Right.
Hereditary.
I'm talking about comedy movies.
Yeah.
Like, there's so many Adam Sandler comedy movies that people still watch to this day. You still watch Big Daddy. You still watch Happy Gilmore for
Happy
sure.
Gilmore's amazing. Mr. Deeds, 51st
I love Mr.
Dates.
Deeds. Billy Madison.
Yeah.
Great movie. And even like The Waterboy. I love The Waterboy.
Waterboy's amazing.
It is. It's such
So
a good movie.
I think
People think that they're ridiculous, and I'm like, yes, I know they're ridiculous. This is a comedy movie.
Yeah. Well, I think the thing that makes his movies great is like they're like hilarious on like a childish level sometimes, but then there's like these psychedelic elements of comedy, which I don't know how to describe that more than like the callback in Mr. Deeds where he throws the cat and it lands on the trampoline and then it lands in the guy's basket from Big Daddy.
Yeah, exactly.
That's just a great callback, and like the way he mixes in all the universes, but they have soul. And I think that's the storylines have a part where you really like feel for the characters.
You do.
Like Big Daddy, that courtroom scene, I cry every time.
Yeah, because
dude.
it's brutal.
Oh.
And Big Daddy's one of those movies where it's like, yeah, that's the way it should have ended. But we're all sitting there like, no, please, dude. Like, let him keep him.
I wipe my own ass.
Brutal.
So good.
And Adam Sandler's got a way of making the entire thing funny, and at the very end being like dropping the hammer on you.
Yeah.
Like Click. I remember watching Click in theaters, and like when he's dying, I remember crying and looking at the people that I went with and was like, nah, dude, I'm fine. Like, what's up?
And you don't expect to cry at an Adam Sandler movie.
Exactly.
But like that's like I think like I don't know. Sometimes when people shit on Adam Sandler, I'm like, I think you're missing the whole. It's
I'm not saying the guy's never made a bad movie.
Oh,
but
yeah, he's made
let's give him some credit.
yeah, exactly. And also, you know, when you were younger, before it was cool to shit on things, you loved Mr. Deeds.
Exactly.
You loved 50. Who doesn't like 50 First Dates?
Dude.
If I meet one person that's like 50 First Dates sucks, I've met a liar.
Exactly.
We're not friends anymore.
My mom doesn't even go see movies, and like she took us to see 50 First Dates, and like she'll still watch it to this day.
It's so my dad watches that movie constantly.
It's a great movie.
It's so
and
good.
that's another example of like when it was still okay to do accents. Like Rob Schneider in that movie's great.
There's one crazy eye.
Yeah.
The shark bite skull or scar.
Yeah, where
Yeah,
it cut him open again.
God, it's so good. The movie's hilarious.
I love that movie.
And then also the fact, one thing you would never be able to do in a movie anymore, unless you were describing a villain, is the fact that he's getting these ladies pretend drunk to sleep with them or whatever.
Exactly.
By making them think there's alcohol
Thinking that
in
they're
the
drunk,
fish.
which
It's
is like the reverse of what is awful. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like,
but it's like, how are you? You're like anti date raping. It's
exactly.
really weird.
It's like a really polite way to do an awful thing.
Yeah, that's strange. I've never, that it's so funny. I'll go back and watch that movie, and I'm like, man, you wouldn't see this anymore in a movie.
I know, and it kind of like you get it, and then you're like let down a little bit. You're like, but I think we're getting back. I think we're getting back to the point where you can almost do everything as long as it's a joke. Like,
I think things swing back and forth every like 10 or 15 years. We'll get some rated R crazy comedies again.
Oh yeah,
but
I was talking about this the other day. You know, like the Adam Sandler group of people that we had. Then you had the Will Ferrell group of people.
Jim
then you
Carrey.
had Jim Carrey. Then you had the Seth Rogen group is probably the latest ones. Like this, but now we have nobody. We don't have like Shane Gillis, and then might be the new ones. They did Tires.
Yeah, and they would be good. I don't know. I think it's like it helps when you have not just funny people, but people that also have some acting chops.
Yeah,
like that's what makes Caddyshack still so funny, and it still holds up. Is like Rodney Dangerfield's just being himself or whatever.
Yeah, he is.
But Ted Knight and Chevy Chase.
Chevy Chase is great in that movie.
They're not only funny, but they're great. Like they sell the characters so well. It's like they don't have to just play themselves. Yeah, I feel like a lot of comedians just end up kind of playing themselves.
That's true.
Especially the ones that, didn't, study acting. And
That's
stuff.
100% true. And like acting's another one of those things where like I think you can get better at it, but either you can do it or you can't.
Yeah.
Like you can do it and be mediocre at it, get really good at it. But like I think those people that can't do it at all, I don't think there's any prayer for them.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. I've had some buddies that will do something and like they're really nervous about it, but by the end I'm like, oh, dude, you did really good. You know what I mean? And then I've had some people where I hit record and they're just like you can see in their face that everything changes. You know what I mean? Like I'm like, hey, can you just say right here that like you hate me? And they're like, they'll sit over there and be like, I fucking hate you. And I'm like, yeah, dude, just like that. All right, go. And I'll hit record and he'll be like, I fucking hate you. I'm like, dude, what's wrong with you? What happened?
I'm usually that guy. So like I love directing and editing stuff. Being behind the camera and being alone in a dark room, just like, going ahead and cutting out videos and stuff. I love doing that.
Me too.
But I've always like when I was younger, I wanted to be an actor so bad. I thought like I'm gonna be the next River Phoenix.
Yeah.
That's what I was obsessed with. I would watch Stand By Me and The Mosquito Coast with him and Harrison Ford.
Yeah.
And I like wanted to be an actor, and then I started making short films with like Zeke and Curtis and some buddies, and then I would put myself in as a character, and oh my God, I just like stand there frozen up, and I'm just like, so now where are we going? And I'm like, oh, I should have cast somebody else. This is terrible. This is so bad. Curtis is smooth with it. Curtis can like really get in a character and he'll sit there and think, and he's like, okay, and he'll ask you questions like, well, what if I did like this, or what if I? And I'm like, oh, I wouldn't even. I was just gonna stand here. I didn't even think about what does my guy do. Like, I don't know. I just want to get out of
I
here.
just know my lines. I'm gonna come in here and say them like a kid on stage in kindergarten when they come out there and read their speech and then just walk off.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. I feel like Ralph in The Simpsons. Like like you did that stuff with Shropshire Collective. We filmed all those promos and a
was
little bit
fun.
of that music video. And Zeke can get it out of me. Zeke and Philip know how to be like, dude, be crazy, be animated. Then all of a sudden I'm like, all right. And then like I get weird and wild, But like,
that's good to have those people. That's why when I have my buddy like shoot something, I know that I can eventually. It might take me 20 takes, but I'll get what I need out of it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know like Zeke will usually can turn it on. Curtis can turn it on when like the camera's on in like a short film situation. But I'm like, I can do it. If we really need me, I will do it. And I know, like, especially now that I'm sober and stuff, and I can, like, it develops a whole different confidence. So it's like, now I trust myself to be able to do things like that. But still, it's like, guys, can I just edit this? Just hand me the footage and let me add the music.
Editing is fun,
and
like, because especially if you, and I imagine you are, if you like editing, you see it in your head a certain way and you're like, I'm going to make it look exactly like that on the computer.
Sometimes, and then sometimes the editing tells me what it's supposed to look like.
That's true.
But yeah, there's been times where it's like I knew exactly how we wanted to film it, at least how I saw it in my head, kind of, and it doesn't come out 100%.
Yeah, it never does, because the only way it could is if, like, I could do everything. If I could have 10 bodies, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, so I have to be happy with whatever they got me.
Yeah. No, editing's so much fun. Like, but I feel like people have told me this before, that, like, I would be better at doing music videos because I kind of edit to beats.
Yeah.
In a way where it's like everything kind of matches up in a certain synchronicity, instead of just like, so you don't watch like, Shawshank Redemption and like everyone's walking with the drum that's happening in the soundtrack. You know what I mean? I don't think I'm too synced up. So I don't know, but I haven't edited anything in a long time besides my podcast, which is just, it's like,
So who
easy.
edits the music videos like we did over there?
So we usually trade off. Like, recently it's been mainly Philip doing a lot of the editing, but like sometimes it'll be like, whoever wants to direct, like, hey, I want to direct this one because we all direct, so we'll let them direct, and then somebody will be like, oh, well, can I edit this one? And then we all, as it's going on, we stop and save and send it to everybody. What do you think so far? Any ideas? And everyone, it's still a collaborative effort, but usually one person at a time. We're just like, you do the hard part.
And now y'all are doing like a short series, right? Or
Yeah,
planning on doing
we're working
one.
on a pilot right now.
That's awesome.
For a show. So
I know I got asked to be a part of it. I'm excited.
Yeah, I am too. I think it's a good idea.
I think it's a great idea.
I think we have great stuff on paper already.
We won't say what the idea is.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be hilarious.
Yeah, and I think like already, like, for the pilot, like, I think we already have a bunch of great ideas that now we're just trying to like sew everything, nicely together.
People don't realize that stuff's hard. Writing is hard.
It's so difficult.
It is, but it's also fun, especially if you got good writers and you got like a little writers meeting or something like that. It can get fun.
Yeah, like writing scripts and stuff. Me and Zeke wrote this one short film that we've never done it. And then, like, we could talk to you about doing it, maybe, but we need, it's about two guys trying to get the last biscuit at the dinner table. And then they, like, stop and they start having a thumb wrestling war.
Sure.
But as they're doing the 1, 2, 3, 4, the camera, like, zooms in and then zooms out, and they're in giant thumb suits, just whacking each other like giraffes. Okay. And they do an actual thumb wrestling.
For a minute there, this sounded like a Pixar short.
This is our idea. So we actually just filmed two people in thumb suits, just real life thumb wrestling, and then
it would be great if were they at the kitchen table?
Yeah,
like they destroy this house.
Oh man, we didn't even think about that. We thought like it zooms out and we're all of a sudden in like a warehouse of like a ring or whatever. But if it does zoom out and there's just now two giant thumbs
in a kitchen,
and they're just
destroying the kitchen.
Holy crap! That might be.
But then you'd have to have somebody who's like, yeah, you can tear everything in my kitchen up. Like,
yeah.
But if they were okay with it, you could literally go. I don't know. You'd probably have to build like a fake kitchen.
I'm crazy enough that if I lived by myself, I would do that.
You know, I tell people that about living alone. Like, I tell everybody, I'm like, you should live alone before you ever live with somebody else, get married, whatever, roommate. Just before you settle down for life, you need to live alone. And people are always like, why? I was like, because you can do whatever you want to do. If you want to eat a bowl of cereal and then take it and throw it against the wall, nobody's going to tell you that you can't.
If you want to smoke a cigarette inside,
yeah,
while laying in bed, you are allowed to do that. You can
do whatever you want to do, and nobody is going to be there and be like, you can't.
Yeah.
You can take I love the bowl of cereal because like it's nobody would ever do that, but I could if I wanted to. Nobody's gonna go up there and be like, "Why'd you do that?" I'm like, no.
The fact that you thought about it so instantaneously is like you want to do that.
Yeah,
Like,
of course.
one
Like
time.
I see it in my head. I see the glass break and the milk and cinnamon toast crunch
The
like
one
dragging down the
dent
wall
of the lip
then
of the
you,
bowl
Then you
right
bet
here.
on which cinnamon toast crunch is gonna make it to the bottom first.
With yourself.
Yeah,
That's good.
exactly.
My first apartment, I was 20, and I lived with my buddy Jordan, and it was a nightmare. It was like we were drinking so much and just staying out and partying so much. We wrecked this beautiful place.
That's what you're supposed to be like though in early
God,
years.
it like, got to the point that like all of our other friends that were our age were concerned though. They're like, this is not okay.
Yeah.
So it was like literally pizza boxes stacked to the ceiling, like old food and bags that was like literally stuck
Dude,
to the kitchen
it's
counter
so-
with like roaches. We had a rat. It was like a Ninja Turtles villain. It was the largest rat I've ever seen in my life. Like I thought we had to pay him rent. Like it was in the kitchen. And I saw it one time and I saw the size of it for a second and it like ran in a corner. And I was like, dude, this is like getting like.
I feel like we had the exact same experience. Like, dude, I never had a roommate. I moved straight out of my house, bought like this little trailer, and lived in it on like 3 acres of land. And like, I remember walking in one day and just seeing like bags of food, like like brown bags of food everywhere, and just being like, all right, this is enough. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and then you take all day cleaning, but the same thing. I had a fucking rat that I saw had chewed like a hole in like the paneling in my laundry room, and I was like, fuck this, dude. I got to catch a rat. And dude, I could hear it in my walls, just like, and I was like, that's either a raccoon or the biggest rat in the world. So I got what could only be called like a cat trap.
Yeah.
Like this rat trap was this big.
Jesus Christ.
And dude, I was sitting there, it's like 1 o'clock in the morning, and I hear this rat trap go off, and then I hear what sounds like a gorilla in my laundry room just go and just boop, 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 boop. And then I go open the door, and this thing is slapped down on its neck, and that rat is still like wide awake. Like it's like,
Oh, my
fuck
God.
you. But it can't go anywhere because its feet are on the trap.
Yeah.
And dude, it's just sitting there, and I was like, oh my God.
Jesus.
I was like, I'm sorry, sir. Do you want me to leave? Let me get this off your neck.
They just signed the deed over to you.
Dude, this rat, it was as big as a squirrel. This rat was this big.
Good
It was
God.
insane.
You get one of those traps from like the Cracker Barrel little shop.
Dude, I'm telling you, the rat trap was probably that wide. It was probably that long.
Yeah.
Like when it went off, it sounded like somebody shot the rat.
And I like how it just had it in a headlock.
It did.
Like that rat's still sitting
Like,
there
dude,
like
it was
a
sitting there with
UFC
his
fighter.
eyes. Like when I opened the door, it looked straight up at me, and I was like, "My bad, dude. Is this like a bad time or something?"
Strategically like planning a Game of Thrones death when you're like, if you get near me, I'm gonna grab you by the ankle
Oh, yeah, I
and
mean-
flip you over, crush your head.
I had to
like
kill
a
him. My bad,
viper.
dude. I mean, you know, he was having the time of his life in there. That trailer that I had was crazy. I had ghosts in there and everything.
You had a ghost in the trailer? Well, ghost, like,
I don't know if
Plural.
it's plural. I don't know if it's plural. Just one
Yeah.
would just run down the length of the trailer. When I was outside smoking on the steps, I would just hear it behind me, full sprint, doom, 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 all the way to the other end. And nobody believed me. And my brother was up there because I used to have all the fun video games. So he would come up there and play VR and Xbox and stuff.
Jesus.
And then he would never believe me. And I remember sitting there smoking, and he was standing in front of me. And all of a sudden, I heard it just doom, 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 all the way to the other end. And my brother's just going, and I was like, yeah.
God
That's him
damn.
in there. And I've told this story on the pod before, so people that see it are going to be like, he's already told this. But I was sitting there. I'd moved out, and I was coming back and to get like shoes and stuff, like finish moving out, get all the stuff that was left from out of my bedroom. And I opened the bedroom door, and it just sounded like somebody was just falling all over the floor. Just and like I turned on the light,
scary
and
as
nobody's
fuck,
there.
dude.
But I'm guessing what, like in my mind, what happened was the guy was in there, like finally he fucking left. And like I opened the door, and he's like, "Oh shit!" Like,
Maybe it was the ghost of that rat.
oh, maybe.
You know what I mean?
My dad like came outside in his backyard. He lived like 2 acres above me. And like he knew I'd moved out, and he just sees a guy's shadow in the sliding glass doors on the back. So he's like, what the fuck? So he gets his gun and like walks all the way down there because he thinks somebody's broken my house. Walks all the way down there. The shadow never moves. He runs around to the front of the trailer, walks in, and searches every section of the house. Nobody's in it.
Fuck.
I mean, I sold it and it's gone. I don't know what. Like the person who has it now might be like, dude, there's some weird shit going on in here.
Dude, someone's creating a Stephen King novel right now because of that trailer.
I could write it about it. Dude, I'm telling you. And you know, it's so crazy. People, when they hear that story, like, I'd have left that motherfucker. And like, that's what I say when I hear crazy shit. I'm like, I wouldn't stay there.
But then you just
It never bothered me. That's what I tell people. Like, they never sucked my toes in the middle of the night or nothing. Like, they just left me alone. They never bothered me.
Like a lie, you might end up finding out you like that. I'm like, dude, I have the best ghosts, bro. They're like, suck my toes.
You remember Scary Movie 2? Where she falls asleep and all of a sudden
she has sex with that ghost.
and she gives him crabs.
That shit was crazy.
That's a great note to end on.
Hell yeah, dude.
Dude,
Appreciate
I had fun.
Thank you so much for having me,
Dude,
man.
I had a blast. I love having comics on because we just laughed.
Dude, it was awesome.
Go from 9/11 to blowjobs from ghosts.
Right.
That's the way it should be.
And yeah, you're going to be on the show, Whippersnapper Comedy, in November.
You tell everybody what you got going on.
Oh, yeah. So, dude, I run Whippersnapper Comedy with Josephine Rivera, a comedian in Pensacola, Florida. We do once a month shows at Cedar Street Social in Mobile, Alabama, downtown. Then also you can follow me on Instagram, Carson Taylor Comedy.
Very funny comic.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. You're also very funny. And
Thanks,
dude,
sir.
from where you were, a year ago, when I first met you, you were like, yeah, thinking about getting into stand-up. And then it was within 5 times of you performing that I was like, holy shit, Justin is funny.
Thanks, man.
Dude, seriously, you figured it out quick. You have a natural, when you're on stage, it seems very natural. If you told somebody your 5th time on stage that you had been doing it for 3 years, they'd believe you. You know what I mean?
That's the ultimate compliment.
Yeah, dude. So keep doing
Thank y'all.
what you're
Y'all
doing.
go follow Carson. He's really funny.
Yeah, man. Appreciate it.
Bye, guys.